Whenever I find my business stagnating or hitting a revenue ceiling, I can almost always boil it down to one specific mistake that I'm making. And being an entrepreneur for over 4 years now and having multiple businesses generating over $25 million in sales, I can tell you that I don't just have it once, I have it multiple times, maybe even multiple times in a year. And I've also worked with over 1,000 coaches, consultants, agencies, and online service providers. And almost always I see somebody falling into this trap. And it is the misconception that tactics and strategy are the same thing. And I'm going to explain to you, if you stick with me in this video until the end, what were the major shifts I've even made recently in order to help us break past our most recent revenue ceiling. Now, tactics and strategy are not the same thing, but the problem is that most people, the common sense would have you think that they're the same thing. Most people use tactics and strategy interchangeably. They'll just say whether something is a tactic or something is a strategy. And the other problem is that when we first start a business, we are rewarded for being a tactician. And you may be asking yourself, okay, well, what's a tactician and what's a strategist? Well, the easiest way I can define it for you is a tactician, he is the person that wins the battle, while a strategist, they are there to win the war. And you need a little bit of a blend of both, almost like a yin and yang relationship. But when you first start your business, you are rewarded for being a tactician. So I don't know about you, but for me, I started my first business and advertising agency from buying a course online. And the course didn't teach me how to be a strategist. It taught me how to be a tactician. It said, okay, here's what your offer should be. Here's how you should set up your cold email messaging. Here's the subject line. Here's how you should do your sales call. Here's how you should go out there and fulfill work for your clients, do the ads for them, et cetera, et cetera. So I was starting to close clients and make money. And I went from making $2,000 a month as a waiter to well over $150,000 a month running my advertising agency. And that was all because I was being a tactician. I was rewarded for that massively. My entire life changed the way that I had known it previously because I had been a tactician. And I kind of had prided myself on being a tactician, on the ability for me to roll up my sleeves and get in there and solve any problem that the business came at us. I would do other people's jobs for them because I just wanted to get it done. And one of the values at our company is speed, experimentation, and execution without compromising accuracy. So that value in our company stems from my own personal value of just like, let's keep on going. Let's just do this thing here. Let's do that thing there. Let's test this new landing page. Let's test this new pricing structure, whatever else it is. And whenever I find myself now, after working with thousands of businesses and generating tens of millions of dollars online, I always find myself just being drawn right back in that tactician mindset and that tactician viewpoint. And like I said earlier, it doesn't even matter if I've hired a team of 30, 40, 50 people. Instead of pulling myself out and looking at the 30,000 foot view, I still find myself wanting to dive into Asana and check off tasks, or wanting to dive into Ads Manager and duplicate campaigns and play with ad copy. And what I've learned is that a tactician, they can see 2x growth, right? They could see, they make, let's just say for easy numbers, $1 million 1 year, they can probably make $2 million the next year. But after being in this game for a while, what I've learned is that the strategists, they are the ones that make $1 million 1 year and they make $10 million the next year, right? It's a 10x growth. And I know some of you might be like, oh, wow, that's not realistic. That's not real. But I can tell you, I see it all the time. We've had unbelievable growths in our business. And that's when I was being a strategist. And then we've also hit revenue ceilings and stagnated. And that is when I was a tactician. And so I'll give you some specific examples here in a moment. But my challenge to you is, where are you being a tactician inside of your business? And if you're in the coaching, consulting agency or online service provider worlds, the other insidious problem I see in our industry is that because everybody is so tactical, they just want, hey, what is the ad I use? What is the cold email script I use? What is the sales script I use? Just tell me what I need. Tell me what I need. It becomes, everybody is drowning in the sea of sameness, right? Because nobody's thinking for themselves. They're just copy and pasting what they're seeing other people doing, and they're copy and pasting what their coaches or gurus or whoever else is telling them what to do. And they just want that proven path to success. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be tactical. By all means, you should be tactical, but you need to eventually blend in strategy inside of that. And for me, some of that had to do with actually starting to build a team, and not just a team of doers, but a team of thinkers and people who I could just leave and have them run the day to day, and I could start to be a strategist. And for me, strategy, those are the things that you're working on it for 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, 60 days, and there's no dopamine release. You're not getting, and not everyone's not patting you on the back. Yeah, way to go. We just launched this new ad. You're just working in silence constantly every single day. You could have an Asana task for us for literally months. This entire quarter, I've had one Asana task. So I just see it. I don't get to check it off. I'm just moving the due date past further back, further back. And that's the other issue with being a strategist, is that there's no like immediate release or immediate gratification, which I'm not going to get into that, but that's the problem with, a lot of the social media and the world that we live in today, is you're just so focused on immediate gratification that when you have to actually do the real work to win the war, to be a strategist, it is not appealing even in the slightest, right? And so what do you do? Or I won't speak for you, I'll speak for myself. I roll up my sleeves, I dive right back into being a tactician. And we just had our company annual planning event in the past few days, and we always we go around and share, some personal reflections of what do we want to work on and what do we want to be held accountable for the next year. And I was like, I want to make sure that I am almost a full-time strategist and not a full-time tactician. And another way I kind of like to explain this is, I'm not going to butcher the quote, so I'm going to read it off of my phone here, but by Sun Tzu, he says, strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. So you do need tactics. You can't just have strategy. The other saying is like the best laid plans of mice and men. So I'm not saying just be somebody who focus on strategy, because you do need some tactics. So strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. But then he says tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. And I think it was Alex Ramosi or maybe Warren Buffett or someone said, like, the point of it is just to stay in the game. The point of business is just to stay in the game long enough, right? And I've experienced that myself, right? Sometimes we'll have stagnant months and we're not growing at all, but we're still in business. I still have the infrastructure. I still have the team members. And what I need to do is take a step back and look, okay, what is the next big move while I have this time bought here, while I still have these assets, these resources, at my fingertips? What do I need to do in order to take the business to the next level? And another quote I'll give you, I don't know who said it, but they said, you always have two businesses. You have the business that you're working in today, and then you have the business that you're building for the future. And in my desire not to be shiny object, right, I have thought, let me just continuously work on the business today. But the problem with that is that you're not being the visionary that your company needs. You're not setting yourself up and predicting what the marketplace is going to do, what's going to happen in technology, what's going to happen with competition, et cetera, and you may find yourself kind of going backwards a little bit. And once again, that's when you need to take a deep breath, maybe stop being so tactical and start being a strategist. And I told you at the beginning of this video, I'll give you a few examples of when we started being a strategist inside of our business. And the first one that always comes to my mind is when I was running my advertising agency, we were seeing like some growth month over month. It wasn't anything insane. We were churning clients left and right. And I had decided that the main reason why my clients weren't seeing success was because we were doing the same thing that everybody else was doing, and they were having to call and qualify their own leads. This was in 2018, 2019. Nobody else was, everyone was following the same copy and paste method. And so what I decided to do, I said, well, what if I used a call center to call and qualify my clients' leads for them? So they never had to call their leads ever again, and they would just show up to qualified appointments on their calendar. Well, sure enough, I found the people, I got on a call with them, and I found this white label company to do this for our agency. And overnight, our business exploded. We went from like 5% to 10% month over month growth to 300% month over growth. I mean, we went from like $10,000 a month to a few months later, I hit my first $100,000 month. It was that quick how the growth had happened, and nothing else had changed, but I had been more of a strategist. I wasn't just trying to do, hey, how do I change my sales pitch presentation and which slide do I put first? I just changed literally how we had come about serving our clients. And not only did they get better results, but at the same time, we were able to close way more people, and my marketing message was way more effective. And another example of this is actually inside Scaling with Systems, our current company. So same kind of concept. When a few years ago, we were doing what everybody else was talking about doing. We were just helping people get more clients, and we were showing them, hey, here's how you run an ad. Here's how you script an ad. Here's how you set ads up, et cetera, et cetera. But then I took a step back. I said, okay, what are our best clients, and what are we really great at? What are they doing? And I identified that, okay, our best clients, number one, they always have an amazing, incredible offer And number two, I typically had written the ad or the funnel or the sales copy or whatever else it is for them. I didn't just leave them to do it on their own. And so that's what we started doing about a year ago, and it's been incredibly successful for our business. The first thing we do whenever a client comes on board is we refine their offer. Now everybody else is promising that. Once again, that's the issue with this industry, is there's kind of a lot of me too inside of here. But what we started doing is we started refining the offer. First thing, okay, how do we make your offer more desirable in the overall marketplace? And that in and of itself is a strategic move, right? It's not us, our clients come in, okay, great, Ravi, or will you guys launch my ad copy? Let's get the ads up tomorrow. That's being a tactician. But we actually force our clients to be strategists alongside us. And we say, okay, how do we adjust this offer so that even if our ad copy, our messaging, our targeting is just okay, we still absolutely crush it for this campaign? So that we always work on the offer first. We follow a specific formula, we get on a call, we refine it. We've worked with over 1,000 offers, so we have a good idea of what works. And then once we're done being a strategist, then we go over and we be a tactician and we launch the campaign with them. And our team writes all of the ad copy, the video sales letter scripts, the thank you page video scripts, the follow-up scripts, all of that stuff. We write it all out because we know that, first of all, it makes our offer more appealing to the overall marketplace, but there's no way any one of our clients is going to be better at it than we are. And so we do all of that heavy lifting for our clients, and that helped us really separate ourselves. I call it kind of the hybrid offer with what everybody else is offering out there, which is like, hey, here's this coaching program, here's a group coaching call, versus us where we're like inside of a private Slack channel with our clients, working one-on-one with them, literally building ad assets for them. So those are two great examples of me being kind of a little bit more of a strategist rather than a tactician. And the final one I want to give you is actually an example in my personal life. For those of you that don't know my story, I was actually always going to be a lawyer. So that was the plan. I had spent the first 18 years of my life, 18 to 20 years of my life, fully devoted towards being a lawyer. And I have another video going through a little bit more of that story. But, ironically, nobody that was pushing me to be a lawyer, like my family and extended family and friends, none of them had ever been lawyers before, but they were kind of pushing me to be, hey, you should be a lawyer. I'm not saying it's their fault at all. It was 100% my fault. But this outside influence was like, hey, be a lawyer. And so I was like, okay, what do you do to be a lawyer? Well, you got to study pre-law. You got to have a political science degree. You have an international affairs degree. You need to get an internship for the governor or for a political person, which I did. You need to study for the law school admission test. You need to take a year off of school in order to prepare for it. You need to make sure that you get at least a 4.0 on your grade point average. You need to get join an honors program, extracurricular activities. And so here I am being this tactician. I was like a checklist of me to become a lawyer. All these things that I was getting done. I was just one after the other. And I was doing a great job. And I was going there. And like I said, going from, college and then graduating and then potentially going to law school and then getting my law degree, I could have made, a decent amount of money, maybe $100,000 a year, 150, maybe $200,000 a year, and that would have been a nice, 100% increase from what I was doing, 200% increase I was doing. And then there was something that happened in my life, in my personal life. My dad was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. He's in remission, which I'm super grateful for, but I had to kind of stop what I was doing and go to Atlanta and take care of him. And it kind of made me put on the brakes and pause and see, oh wait, is this even what I want to do with my life? I've never even talked to a lawyer before, and here I am planning my entire life out around being a lawyer. And that kind of caused me to start going and talking to lawyers and asking them their feedback. And once again, I wasn't checking off some list. I wasn't getting this immediate gratification of me talking to a lawyer, and the lawyer was like, you should go to law school or you shouldn't go to law school. They would just give me their insight, and then I'd have to go home, I'd have to think about it, I'd write in my journal, I'd really kind of dissect, is this the best path for me in the future? And ultimately, obviously, I decided not to go to law school. And this was actually even after I had taken the law school admission test, and I scored in the top 13% of test takers in the entire nation. So I had my pick of some really amazing schools, and I decided not to go. And that was a strategy move that I had done. And the strategy was that I had already devoted my entire life towards this one cause. So almost everything was pushing me towards, I had all this sunk cost bias and all this social pressure for me to go there. And I decided not to do it. And that was an incredibly strategic decision, where when I said I'm not going to be a lawyer, it wasn't I was I'm not going to be a lawyer so I can run a multiple 8-figure company online. I was just I'm not going to be a lawyer so that I can figure out what the next step was. And that was an incredibly strategic move. And although I tell people all the time that I personally think that whatever I would have done, I would have been great at, because I just give everything that I do my all, there is a difference in the vehicles that you choose it in. And it's funny, I always think back, I kind of tell people this story. The year I would have graduated from from law school was the year that the entire world almost blew up. I think you probably know what I'm talking about here, but where everything was shut down. And I would have graduated, had spent my entire life leading up to the one moment to finally get this thing, and you weren't even able to take the bar test in some areas, and things were pushed back, and you couldn't graduate, and people weren't even hiring for positions, right? Yet that was actually a record year for the business that I had, right? So I hope that makes sense to you. I'll leave you with one more quote that I actually really liked, that I was when I was kind of thinking a little bit more about this topic, and it's from a very famous chess player named Savili Tarkatower. He says, "A tactician knows what to do when there is something to do. A strategist knows what to do when there is nothing to do." I'll say that again. A tactician knows what to do when there is something to do. A strategist knows what to do when there is nothing to do. And that's a perfect illustration of really what I believe entrepreneurship to be, right? You can hire employees to be tacticians, and you say, hey, go out here and do this. You know how to make an ad work. You know how to script a YouTube video. Go make this work. But it is truly an entrepreneur who can be a strategist when you don't know what the next move is. You don't know what the future is going to look like, and yet you're building out a strategy in order to be able to combat that.